Oats and beans and barley grow.
As you and I and everyone knows, oats and beans and barley grows. As you and I and everyone knows, are waiting for the partner.
First the farmer sows his seed.
Then he stands and takes his ease, stamps his feet and claps his hands and turns around to view.
We've been walking around the country for 6 months, and we started in Canterbury, and we've made our way across the south coast, wiggling a lot. People ask us whether we've, done sort of 400 miles or how many miles we've done, and we never know, because we stop somewhere, go up and down and round, and then carry on and then go back a bit. And we've been staying in all sorts of places.
Staying outside quite a lot, in woodland, stayed a couple of weeks in the New Forest, built shelters there.
Your wife to chop the wood away.
It's one of the most enjoyable things to do, sing a song, and people seem to get really happy about people singing. And it also keeps us in bread. We can afford a crust, and sometimes a little bit more. Sometimes cake. We can afford cake.
And we call them the hobbits.
Robin Hood.
Troubadours.
Yeah, troubadours.
We had troubadours come and visit for the night.
We did nickname them the Smelly Boys.
I named them the Bold Foresters because they, to me, they look like men of the woods.
There's always been some sort of intention between us to go on an adventure of some sort. And then we started learning certain bits and pieces like about edible plants and herbalism and survival outdoors and things like that. And it evolved into what we're doing now, I suppose. There was no one point that came along and said to us, oh, you've got to do this right now. It just, as all things do, it's a number of causative factors.
We've also been meeting lots of people who've taken us into their various sundry homes, which has been amazing. We've spent quite a few nights in people's houses, in mansions. Oh, we had a lovely night in a monastery as well.
First pilgrims they took in for a few hundred years, apparently. It was nice to break the tradition of not taking people in.
Where else do we stay? We stay in lots of different places. On boats sometimes, underneath boats sometimes, in caravans, under caravans, in woods, hills, barns, stables. All sorts of places.
Well, it was on a Saturday afternoon, and I'd finished teaching, and I think Jenny had to go off and do a concert, and I had a leisurely time to be able to go into Lyndhurst and get some money out of the bank. But as I was getting money out of the cash point, I heard this amazing singing.
No longer go along with you, I'll travel the country through and through, and they call me the Rambling Sailor. And if you...
With a sign saying, walking around Britain singing for our supper.
In my false heart and flattering tongue, I will court them all, both old and young. I'll court them all, but I'll marry none. And they call me the...
And we heard this, hey, la, 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 and we thought, what's going on? What's going on here? And there are these two men in green. With little leather knives strapped to them and pouches and capes and beardy.
I left the pub at about 5, and as I walked out, I thought, because they were living rough, I'd really like to have invited them to spend the night, with us. Come down for supper, and if you'd like to spend the night, you're welcome. Have a shower and everything. Get your clothes washed. The only condition was that they should sing for their supper, which they did, sitting cross-kneed on the floor before supper. And they were just brilliant. And of course, my background is Royal Navy, and so I'm very much into sea shanties. And they sang, some sea shanties, and very moving.
It was extraordinary, really, because I'd only heard about them from Andrew raving about these people singing in the high street, and then they came back for lunch, and then after that we both had to go to work, and then Angus was going to be coming home from school on his own
to find two men in the kitchen rummaging through the cupboards.
Well, you were really pleased because they were like sort of Ray Mears survival people.
I was quite intrigued by all their cookery books and the way they'd been living and eating.
And the way they'd photocopied all that survival stuff and
they
shrunk it
photocopied
down.
about 400 pages of survival book into pocket size so that they could carry it around, and the print was tiny.
I got a jumper which I made, medical kit, water, how we carry our water, cook pot, a water container for things like washing our fold out saw, hatchet, and a pipe cleaner is useful, and a bit of that, just so they can see us in the road when we walk along.
Yeah, that was made by Ed.
He stayed up all night, he said, carving it. It's really sweet.
And this is a crook knife, which I make spoons with. You can make bowls with them. General carving.
It's quite pleasing actually. I really like it. I was quite scared to use it actually, in
Well,
case
we haven't used it for anything. Have you used it for anything?
No. Yes.
Yeah,
I
you
did.
started eating breakfast with
I
it.
did. I started eating breakfast with it.